Sorry about that. What's up, y'all? Sparty here. As I said, I am going to do my versus video or more comparison video between the LG G7 and the Samsung Galaxy Note 8. Now, this is more of a transition thing from me giving up my Note 8 to get the LG G7. And since I've only really had the G7 for like basically just 2 days now, I can't necessarily speak on everything. Like battery life, I can't necessarily say is shit or great right now, but I will say that overall the experience has been great. But I do want to indeed talk about how I feel giving up my Note 8 for the G7. And so far, I'm liking the G7 more than I like my Note 8. Now, this isn't like saying that the Note 8's trash. This isn't saying anything like that. But there's just a lot of things that I just overall prefer about. And if you guys see a lot of like glaring or whatever, I'm using my V30's camera. And as you guys can probably see, it's shattered right there. The lens is shattered. So bear with me if you guys see a little bit of that. My V20 is charging, because as soon as I got home, it was dead. So I have no choice but to use my V30. But so far, it doesn't look terrible to me personally, so it's whatever. As I said, so far, I'm loving the G7 more than I like my Note 8. And I'm going to detail why. There are a few things I want to get out the way first. One, has the notch been bothering me as of late? And so far, and I will say no, it hasn't been. It hasn't been at all. There really isn't anything really I can say about it. Like, it blends. It doesn't bother me, really. I thought it would, but it doesn't. One, the front-facing camera is centered now, and it does feel a little bit wonky when you have to use your earpiece because it's a little bit off to the right. So it takes a little bit of, like, retraining your muscle memory and able to use this phone if you make a lot of calls. But overall, it's just something that I haven't necessarily had that much of an issue with. Like, I like what they've been able to do when it comes to like making sure that you get as much screen as possible. And while they do call it the new second screen, I don't see why they would call it that, because it doesn't really have any of the functionality that the second screen of the LG V10 or V20 has had. But the one thing it does indeed do, say you go into a game or something like that, you swipe down rather than it like bordering on the top of your display. And apologies for that light. That's the proximity sensor. So sorry about that, you guys. You do that and it'll just go onto where the other parts of the display are, rather than going straight onto where you can see, I guess. It's hard for me to explain, but you know. Another thing that I vastly prefer about this phone over the Note 8 is the audio. The audio on the G7 is only really like, I get, when it comes to phones, it's only really rivaled by other LG phones. Like the V30, the V20, V10, if you still have that, it can still compete, but not quite. Like, it has the hi-fi quad DAC that's in the V20, and V30. But with this, you get, and I'll do a more in-depth comparison between this and the V30's quad DAC features. It has a whole bunch of new features that I'm not going to talk about in this video. But just to make it short, audio is better on every front. Speaker audio blows this out of the water. Like, I'm sorry, it does. If you guys saw my unboxing video and saw how kind of blown away I was by just putting a G7 just on a box or whatever and just playing some music or some audio or something, it's just insane how this sounds. And since I don't really have to give a damn about copyright, because they can't make any money off this video anyway, I guess I'll just play something. Let me just make sure. So I guess I'll play shit, I don't know. I guess I'll play some T.I. So you guys hear it sounds very loud and it's very nice and clear. But once you put it on something like an empty box or something, and even when you cover the speaker grill itself, it's still pretty loud. But let's put it on like this table right here. And as you guys can see, it does get louder even when you do that. But it gets very full, it gets wider. There's just a lot of stuff that this boombox speaker does that I just like a lot. And I've been testing it out quite a bit over the past couple of days. And it's probably my favorite feature of this phone, to be honest. Like the quad DAC, yes, I love it, but it's also on other LG phones as well, preceding this one, and it does add a whole bunch of new audio features with the G7, but it's just something that I like a lot. Battery life is probably going to be a bit hit or miss. As I said, I can't necessarily speak on it now. I've only had this for 2 days, and I haven't put it through my overnight testing of how it lasts over time over my work shift, but I will be doing that tonight, and I'll probably report back during my actual review. But this has a 3,000 milliamp hour battery. This has a 3,300 milliamp hour battery, and I have been noticing a bit more like battery drainage because it has a smaller battery, obviously, so you're gonna notice that. But it hasn't been terrible. Like, say, within the hour, I'm not down to like 80% or something like that. I'm more down by like 90 or something like that. And it still does and LG still does a good job at battery management when it comes to something like just strictly standby time. It's just something that's insane that within like 1-2 hours, it'll still be on 100%. And obviously when it comes to the V30, it's not quite as good. Like, it doesn't stay at 100% for like 2-3 hours or something insane like that, but it will stay on it for a good amount of time if you're not using your phone as much as a lot of people do. And standby time is typically what I go by. I don't necessarily go by screen on time because majority of my work night, I'm not on my phone all night. Except for the occasional switching, like a podcast episode or something like that. That's literally probably the only thing I do when it comes to messing with my phone or during break when I'm like actually using it. What else can I say? The cameras, I haven't taken many pictures with my G7 as of yet, but I will say that overall the pictures that I have taken, I do like a lot. The AI camera, for example, that's something that is very nice. It's very sick. Here's just one example of a picture, I guess. Let me turn the fucking shutter speed down so you guys can actually see. There's just a fair amount of detail on It's a Sony logo right there. And it's just very nice how that looks. And this is in a fairly low lit bathroom too, so it just looks very nice. Oh yeah, this is a picture. This is a couple pictures I want to show you guys. Okay, so this is Sorry, I got to do this quite a bit because I'm using manual mode. But this is just a regular picture that I've taken. Like, I was over in Chaska and I was going to visit my girlfriend, and this is a regular picture without using the AI camera. And this is, wait, what the fuck? And this is one that I took with the AI camera on. And as you guys can see, the clouds are more blue and vibrant. The grass is like hella green down there. And it's just very nice how that looks. And it's just something that I like a lot. I haven't taken many like low light photos outside or anything like that, but those will be in the video. Now, as you guys know, I do love the Note 8's camera, but I think the problem that I have with the Note 8's camera is that it's not very, people are like, oh, it's so accurate. It's like, it's not that accurate to me, to be honest. I don't like oversaturated photos. That's just something I never liked. And even though I just showed you guys what the AI camera can do, and it kind of does, it pretty much does that, it doesn't do it to the extent that Samsung does it. Like whites on Samsung phones, when you take color, when you take pictures, tend to be like a more yellowish tone and stuff like that. It's just something that never caught my eye. And it's just something that I generally just am not a fan of. And I don't know why I still have this on the box. And it's just something, like I said, it's something I just never liked overall. But the Note 8's camera is still great. It still competes with pretty much everything on the market. It's just not from the way Samsung oversaturates their pictures is just not for me personally. Don't take it as a slag to you if you like it or whatever. It's just something I just am not really a fan of. What else? Fit and finish. As I said when I first got this phone, the G7 is like heftier than the V30. The V30 feels like a paperweight at times. It's kind of crazy. Sometimes I forget it's even in my pocket. But overall, when it comes to like weight, it's similar to the Note 8, but the Note 8 feels a little bit more like bottom heavy for some reason. Some people have said it's top heavy, some have said it's kind of even. Mine is a bit bottom heavy. My original one was top heavy-ish, but it wasn't like egregious or anything like that. But the weight of the G7 is nice, and I like it a lot. It's just something that feels very good. And it doesn't feel like it's just going to fly out of your hand with the wind or anything like that, or it's too heavy for you to hold or something like that. It feels, the weight distribution is fairly even, and it's just something that I like a lot. Another part of I guess, the fit and finish is the build quality. I got a little like piece of like hair or something in the that was lodged in my camera module of my Note 8, but I like the thicker feel of the G7 way more than I like this thin like band around the Note 8. Sure, it's pretty, but it's just not something that I love, because it makes me like lose grip of the phone. And as you guys can clearly see, I have big hands, so for that to be a problem for me is kind of like concerning, I guess. But this looks like a Nokia phone to me. Like, to be honest, like from how the camera is placed to like, sorry, it looks like one of the old like Lumia phones that they made back then when Nokia was under Microsoft. That's what it kind of looks like to me. As far as like button feel and stuff like that, both are clicky, both feel nice, none feel mushy. But let's test how quick each get to the camera by double tapping the power button. The G7 takes a bit longer to boot up, but they're not that far off. Both can like You can zoom in and out by using the camera shutter button, but it feels more tactile on the G7 because it has that nice vibration, that haptic engine in there that's very nice. And more companies need to do that. Samsung, you have one in your phone. I don't know why you don't utilize it. It's used for the, pseudo home button on the bottom when you press it in and stuff like that. I don't know why they don't utilize it for more stuff. And I don't know why I don't put these in the frame more. What else? LCD versus AMOLED. Now, a lot of people complained that the G7 had an LCD display. And I guess I can understand that from a certain extent. But I'm going to turn these down to the same brightness. I'm going to turn them to 50%. I wish Samsung did a better job at showing me what's actually 50%. Like, that's my problem too. The UI is not, people praise Samsung's UI for not being as cluttered, but it still needs work. I guess I'll keep it at 50. The fuck? 50-ish. I can't necessarily tell, but as you guys can see, they're pretty much on a level playing field. This has more white on it, so that's probably why it looks more blown out and brighter. But let me turn them both on to 100 here. Now, as you guys can see a bit, the G7 is like way bright. And when you turn the brightness boosting mode on, it does get even more brighter than that. And both of these phones are easy to see in sunlight, but the G7 is like way easier to see in sunlight. It's just crazy how easy it is to see this phone in sunlight, in daylight or whatever. It's just very nice. Overall, like app launch times and stuff like that, pretty fast. Aside from that music app, it decided to boot up some stuff. This has 4 gigabytes of RAM. This has 6. I haven't necessarily have seen that many a lot of hiccups on my G7, nor have I seen it on my Note 8. But it's just something that I want to point out. Both of these run Android 8.0 with their own custom skins on it. TouchWiz or Samsung Experience, LG UX. And honestly, there's just a lot of like certain things I prefer LG skin over Samsung's, but it's not like night and day. Both still need work on getting updates out and all that stuff. There's just a lot of stuff they need to work on. Both. Like a lot of Android OEMs need to. It's not necessarily just these two, but it's just something that I want to point out. But other than that, I guess that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think. I know I didn't touch on a lot. A lot of it is due to the fact that I haven't been using this phone a lot, so I don't want to say something then have to retract it later. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below about this phone. Do you have the G7? Do you have the Note 8? Let me know down below. This is Sparta. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for the support. Have you guys have a wonderful Wednesday, whatever time of day it is in your area. Have a good one. Like this video if you like it, dislike it. If you dislike it, share with people that are interested in this video. Hit the subscribe button if you're new. Hit the notification bell if you want to know whenever I upload a new video. Again, thanks and have a new one. Have a new one. Have a good one.